Since the beginning of time, people have wondered, will it T-Rex? Will T-Rex fit in cave? Will T-Rex fit in museum? Can T-Rex be crammed into every single movie of an overly drawn out franchise? Will Mario T-Rex? Will Mario T-Rex twice in both a video game and a movie? The answer, of course, to all these is yes. But today, we're gonna ask, will Clay Mario T-Rex? So, grab your clay, your imagination, and come with me down the hobby hole. We'll start as we usually do by making a wire armature. Using this reference I found online, we can get the basic proportions down. And this armature needs to be strong because T-Rex is going to be a big, chunky guy. So for his legs, I'll use coat hanger wire, which is much stronger than normal armature wire. Then, using an electric drill, we'll make this long double strength length of wire, which will become his tail, spine, and neck. Once we've got a rough T-Rex type shape, we can start to bulk it up with aluminium foil. And as you can see, it's super stable. Next we'll start layering on some clay. For the base layers I'll use Supersculpy, and for the later layers that need more detail, we'll cross over to using Cosclay. Now, even though the T-Rex in the Mario movie is leaning more into realism, his proportions are still kind of cartoonish, with his feet and head being especially oversized, and we're going to aim for that same kind of look. So we'll start by making his murder toes at least double the size. Then, using this texture roller I must have made, I don't know, like 3 years ago, we can start to roll on some dinosaur epidermis. Then we can add these other bits to the feet that I don't know the name of, before adding some pre-baked claws. Next up, we can add some details to the torso, including some ribs sticking out from underneath the skin, as well as some wrinkly bits. With that done, we can roll on some more skin texture, as well as going back to the feet to add some more details. Then we'll go back over the body, adding some battle damage and scarring. With most of the body done, let's move on to making the head. So we'll wrap some clay around some more aluminium foil that's been roughly scrunched into the shape of a T-Rex skull. Hang on. First, we'll add some liquid clay, which will make the normal clay stick to the foil that much easier. Yeah, that's better. With the clay in place, we can start to carve out the shaping of the head. And stick with it. I know it's dog ugly right now, but it'll get better, I promise. With those details in place, we can attach the head to the rest of the body, before adding his slimy, gnarly tongue. After that, we'll bulk out his cheeks a bit more, before adding his menacing, frowning brow. And let me ask you, do you like a baking tray full of teeth? Well, here you go, just for you. So I used some translucent clay to make these little enamel daggers, which will poke into his gums. And this type of clay is perfect for making teeth. They come out of the oven semi-translucent and this kind of nice ivory colour. But with a smile only a dentist could love completed, let's add some more details to the head. With that done, we can give it a bake in the oven. Once it's come out of the oven and is solid as, well, clay that's been baked in the oven, I guess, I'm happy to report that he made it back almost in one piece. Just one of his upper teeth fell out, which we'll have to replace later. In the meantime, we've still got the tip end of his tail to add, as well as some little tiny dinosaur arms. To do that, we'll drill out some holes either side of his torso, before adding some little pieces of armature wire. We'll pack onto that some more clay, as well as some little tiny digits, and even tinier claws to go on the end of that. Oh yeah, and let's sort out that loose tooth whilst we're here as well. And that's the sculpting part of the T-Rex pretty much done. Let's now move on to a dinosaur of more indeterminate species, Yoshi. Now, I'd made this armature wire for Yoshi, but it turns out he's so small, he doesn't actually need it, so let's just forget we made that. Instead, let's start with this crescent moon shaped piece of clay. Next, let's add a shell onto his back, before rolling out this sausage, which will go around the rim of the shell. Then we can really delicately and gently smush on his head. We'll build up his eyes before giving him a furrowed brow. Is that his eyebrows, or is it just his eyelids looking angry? Man, I tell you, it's these kind of questions that keep me up at night. But before I spiral, let's quickly add the nose as well as adding some mouth detail. Just as we did with the T-Rex, let's give him some textured skin and poke in some nostril holes. Then we can make all those details nice and smooth by giving it a coat of rubbing alcohol. After that, we'll poke a load of little holes into his booties for reasons, before adding on his legs. Next, we want to make his arms and hands, but before we can do that, we need to make the thing that one of his hands is holding, which in the movie is that plot device bazooka that made it possible for us to have Baby Mario. And yes, I know it's called the Superscope and is based on the peripheral of the same name that was originally released on the SNES. I was actually around to see it first released, although very young, and I've never owned one, but now I get to make a little one. Funny how life comes full circle in special ways. And with the Superscope done, we can start to make and attach the arms and hands. And with those in place, all that's left to do is add Yoshi's little spines before we move on to the painting. With the painting done and looking slightly higher than average, let's move on to making the base. Now, if you're a returning viewer, you'll know I like to make my bases on circles, but the T-Rex we're making is just too big. The smart move would be just to make a bigger circle. But ask yourself, what's even smarter than a big circle? Yes, that's it, two same-size circles smashed together. So after we've cut out some XPS foam with a hot wire, we'll just check the fit. Yep, that's good. She looks good there. And we'll put Yoshi just about here.
Yoshi!
And I don't know about you, but standard rock and grass bases are a bit boring, even if they are awesomely circular. Twice. So to break it up a bit, we'll put in a big T-Rex footprint squished in the mud. Once we've cut that out, we can beat our base with a rock to give it some much needed texture. Then to give the idea that the T-Rex has really pushed its foot into the mud, pushing dirt and ground out of the way, we'll wind this little sausage of air dry clay around the footprint and then blend that into the foam. And to break up the scenery even more, we'll add these two little rocks that Yoshi can stand between. Next, we'll cover the whole thing in a layer of Mod Podge and then spread over that a layer of sand, which I got from Nature's hardware store, The Beach. And we're going to want to make sure that that sand really sticks on there, so I'll overspray it with a mixture of PVA glue and water. Halfway through, I'll remember that spraying isopropyl alcohol beforehand really helps that PVA mixture to disperse and spread out. I really should have done that beforehand. let's just spray both of them at the same time and hope for the best. A few hours later, once that's all dried, we can start to layer up different shades of brown and grey acrylic paint, making sure to dry brush on progressively lighter shades to make the details pop. Then we'll spread on a layer of PVA before laying down a thick layer of green flocking using a static grass applicator. And once that's dry, we can shake off all the excess. And how about we make it look like some muddy water has accumulated in our footprint? So I got some coffee resin dye here, and before you ask, it's coffee coloured, not coffee flavoured. You know, just in case you were wondering. So we'll pour some UV resin into the footprint, and then add one little splash of the dye. Then we'll mix that all up a bit, and cure it with a UV light. Speaking of wet things, let's make T-Rex's mouth look just gloriously moist. To do this, let's use some Uhu adhesive, which is great for making saliva trails. The trick is getting it to cure just enough so you can stretch out a nice strand. And the next trick is to keep it on the thing you want to stick it to, in this case teeth, as opposed to something else, in this case my fingers. But after a lot of prodding, poking and pulling, we managed to get a few good strands. But his tongue is still looking a bit dry, so let's wet that bad boy with some more UV resin. Then pretty much we're done. All we need to do is attach Yoshi's Superscope wielding arm, and then we can stand back and see what we've made. Hey, we made it to the end of another video. Thank you so much for sticking around. You know, I really enjoyed our time together, and appreciate your help in making this monstrosity. In fact, I'd like your input on what we make next time. Here's a hint of what I've got in mind. Question is, which version of Fox McCloud do you prefer? The Mario Galaxy movie version or the updated 2026 version? I'd really love to know what you think. Leave a comment down below and tell me. Plus, if you like this video, click the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out a lot. Why not spread the word about the hobby hole? Talk to your friends and family, even that weird second cousin you don't like to talk to. Everyone could do with some hobby hole love in their life. But until next time, cheers! And have a good one.